Well, welcome everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. My name is Ann Powers, and I'm the head of school here at the Parish School. And I just want to take a moment and thank our panelists and welcome them back to the Parish School. And thank you for all of you who've made it a priority to join us tonight. It's really one of my favorite evenings. Some of that you've already been listening into. It's a homecoming in so many different ways, and we're just so proud of what all of our students have accomplished. It's one of the things I love about being in the head of school role is that I get to celebrate the legacy of the parish school and our students and all that they've accomplished. And this night is really a celebration of our students, all the amazing things that they create. Each one has a really unique story and goes on to make their own way that's just special to them. And tonight you get to hear from three wonderful people that I'll be introducing over the evening. If you if you would take a moment, just I have a few housekeeping things. We are recording, so please stay muted while our guests are speaking, just so we can have a clear recording of everyone. You can type any questions in the chat box, and we'll open up for questions at the end as well. And with that, let's go ahead and get started with our first speaker, Lorian Walter. She enrolled at the Parish School in 2011, and she is currently a junior at Memorial Private School, and she is joined by her mother, Tish. So I will let you guys take it from here. Do you want me to introduce all three, Holly?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead. Yes? Okay. We're also
Yes.
joined by Thomas Mazingo. He attended the parish school from 2010 to 2017, and he is currently a senior at Klein High School and will be attending the University of St. Thomas in the fall with some of our other former parish students as well. And he's joined by his mother, Marcia. And also Lainey Pearson, she enrolled at Parish in 2007. And as she was just stating, she's a senior at Texas Tech, and she's majoring in digital media and professional communication with a minor in advertising. And she's joined by her mother with us this evening. So with that, I will pass it over to Lorian.
Do you want me to tell them about how we ended up at the parish school?
Yeah.
You want to start with
Yeah,
that?
we should do that.
Okay. When Lorian was 2 and she was just learning how to talk, she had so many words. She had a huge vocabulary, and we were so impressed. My husband and I hadn't really been around a lot of kids her age, and we thought, wow, this is really something that she's got this tremendous vocabulary. But then we started noticing she was only repeating back what was said to her. And we talked to the pediatrician, and he told us to enroll her in preschool, see if, getting around some other kids might help her with that. And at one of our preschools that we toured, a very lovely woman over here at Colby Kids, she said, I really think you should get her evaluated. So we got her evaluated, and we learned that this repeating was called echolalia. That's a word I had never heard before until I had to know what it was. And she was also diagnosed with autism. So we did public school for a year because we were frantic just trying to get her in somewhere. And then we heard about the parish school from our pediatrician. And so she went there and was evaluated, and she did the summer program. Camp Acorn was her first step with the parish school. And when we left the public school, she had a very good teacher there. And she said, I am so glad Lorian got into the parish school, because she said, it's going to be a game changer for your family. And she was totally right. So you were 3, I think, when you went through Camp Acorn. And at 4, she started in the bridge class. No, pre-skate. You were a Katie's kangaroo.
Kangaroo, yeah.
Yeah, she was a kangaroo then. So, and then we stayed there until she aged out at age 12. And then we thought, what happens then? So we wanted to stay in that parish school love bubble forever. But it was an amazing experience. It completely changed the trajectory of her life to be at the parish school. And I'm so happy to see Terry on there. She found her voice in the drama department. And she's kind of the go-to girl at her school now for public speaking. And she is on the state board for 2 societies outside of school. And when she's got a script, she's golden. She is such an amazing public speaker. So, but we owe so much of that to the parish school and the staff there. So do you want to tell them about what you're doing now? Or
So now I'm like, if they said I'm in Memorial Private High School now, and I'm about to become a senior.
let's see, you're on the news team.
Oh, and I'm on the news team. They want me to do interviews around the school.
Anything else you wanted to say, or what you want to do after
And
school?
when I graduate, I would like to work in the art industry.
Mhm.
That's very interesting. Thank you for sharing. I'm curious, Lorian, do you have a favorite memory from the parish school?
I loved when we would have these parent teacher conferences, and they just let the kids hang out in the classrooms and play.
Yeah.
I like the musicals too because of all the hype for them.
Those were fun. And when the parent education events, when she was little, she called that parish school at night. And she'd always ask me, when are we going to have another parish school at night? But it was amazing how quickly we started seeing that change from her. You know, for an example, if she wanted some juice, she would say, "Do you want some juice?" Because she could only repeat back. And then it wasn't too long, she started finding those pronouns. That was the first thing, when she started saying I instead of you when she meant herself. And then now she has no trouble telling me exactly what's on her mind now.
Oh,
So
that's a great thing. Thank you so much for sharing some of your story with us. I think Thomas, you're next. Thomas and Marcia.
Would you like to say anything before I read?
I'll just say a few things. So just sort of sharing for all the parents that might be listening. I don't know, all of you may have easy parish school kids, but if there's some that have, a difficult road to travel, let me just say that, if your kid doesn't fit any of the things in the diagnostics, that was Thomas's story. So I kept saying something was wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong. I'm telling you something's wrong. And the doctors kept saying, he's fine, he's a boy, because he made great eye contact. That was the only thing he did. But they hung their hat on that until finally at 3 he got down to Danielle Duncan, who, praise God, knew about the parish school. But I will just tell you, as some of you may know or may not know yet, all of our kids, certainly Lorian's one of them. I vividly remember her with Thomas at school, and I look at her now and it's just so awesome, Lorian, to see how far you have come. It'll make me cry, but this child had so many challenges, and yet I promise you, if you need a ride to New York City tonight, he could get you there. I don't care what the address is. Thomas has a gift. He can memorize maps and he can drive you anywhere in the world. He has a nonstop geofinder, and he got his driver's license at 16 and never batted an eye. So I will just tell you, he's going to tell you his story, but he got there on his own journey. But I'll just finish by saying this. I'll never forget Nancy Bewley saying, Thomas is complex. And she was right. So you want to read?
Complex. What do you mean complex?
That's just what she said.
What does that mean?
I didn't know, but I found out.
Oh, okay. At 3 years old, I was diagnosed with expressive receptive speech disorder and autism spectrum disorder. I was diagnosed with ADHD and what's that word?
Anxiety disorder.
And anxiety disorder
Around
8 years old. 3 years, 11 months, 2010 is when I started. I started with Emily's Elephants, 2010. Then I was in Amy's All Stars, 2011. and Megan Zebras for 2 years, 2012 through 2014.
Mhm.
Um, I was I was diagnosed with anxiety sometime while I was in Megan Zebras those 2 years. And I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was in Jordan Wranglers in 2014. And then after that, I was in Jessica Dragons in 2016. And then Christine's, I mean, Owls in 2016 and graduated in 2017. I did therapy at the Carew Center, and I started going to a house to work with a lady named Lisa in 2013 to do occupational play therapy, and then I stopped doing that when I started doing Becky Wilson at the beginning of 2014. But I also did start seeing a doctor named Dr. Kober in 2013.
You still see Becky today?
And I still see Becky today. I enjoyed the parish school. The fire alarms frightened me. Favorite people: Megan, Nancy Mosley, Maritza, and theater with Terry.
Mhm.
And started on neighborhood swim team at age 5, and I still swim today.
Mhm. Go ahead.
At the parish school, if I was upset, I could go outside and feel better, and I like to play with the tricycles outside and the swings, the playground, and next to the Carew Center. After Parish, I went to Middlestadt Elementary, which wasn't great because I was in a developmental class, which was overcrowded and not a good learning classroom. I started with private cello lessons and Boy Scouts while I was in 5th grade.
Mhm.
I went to Kleb Middle School, and they had Making Connections, which is a social thinking homeroom classroom. The Making Connections teachers watched over me and in all of my classes where I had a teacher and a co-teacher to help me. I started Klein Orchestra. I then went to Klein High School, which was even better. The Making Connection teachers were great. I continued with Klein High School Orchestra. I became a basketball team manager. I achieved Eagle Scout, and I started to work as a bagger at HEB. I have been accepted at the University of St. Thomas to begin my associate's degree in pragmatic studies. I have the option to continue to complete my bachelor's degree there also. I have a 10
Attended?
St. Ignatius Catholic, and I have been active in my youth program all through school.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you so much for sharing more of your story. It was wonderful to hear it.
Thank you.
I'm wondering, do you have a favorite parish school memory?
I have quite a few.
Quite a
One of
few.
them was at recess when I would play on that under that dark green shade thing
Mhm.
with a lot of kids.
Yeah, we still
And
have that.
I know I was there recently and took pictures there.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so fun. Thank you for sharing.
Of course.
Mhm.
Nice meeting you.
Yes. Lainey and Carrie, I don't know who wants to go first, but you're next on our lineup.
Okay, we're trying to coordinate because she's in Lubbock and I'm here in Houston. So I was going to start out with her story because she was born a little early and was a little 4-pounder. And she has come so far. She's a senior now at Texas Tech. But when she was in preschool, they knew that she could read, but then they would hold up her lunch mat and call out her name and she wouldn't respond. And so we started with speech. And so they said she had a receptive language disorder. And we were signed up to start kindergarten, but then heard about the parish school and decided that we should go there. And so she did Stacy's Leopards class and with Miss Kimmy too, for her bridge year. And it was such a good place. In fact, I pulled out her binder when she was home. We were looking at it and just how nurturing and positive. And I loved that you can see like she drew a picture and then I made comments on it. I still appreciate that to this day, just that positivity and helping to give them confidence. But then she left there and she went to First Baptist, and then she came to Second Baptist because her brother was over there. And then we moved to Memorial and she went to Frostwood, and then Holy Spirit. And we were kind of talking about this, and there's pluses and minuses to everything. And I think it's hard to figure out and balance how much to push the kids to reach their potential and then how much to preserve their spirit. And I don't know if we figured that out, but I know that's just hard to do as a parent. And I wanted to ask Lainey kind of to fill in some things about what you thought about elementary school, middle school, like some of your experiences.
Yeah, so I just thought that like it was great, mostly great. Of course, back then you have like a lot of the kids are more immature, so there's of course going to be a lot more drama, but that's just kind of inevitable no matter where you go. In fifth grade, I had a teacher named Miss Downham, and she was kind of sarcastic back then. It was kind of hard for me to understand because of my LD, auditory processing, but she was kind of sarcastic in terms of like if she would call on me, for example, and just be like, I want to kill you, right? But she would say that to everyone, and she would just be messing around. But back then I took it literally. So that's just an example of I guess something how things can be taken the wrong way, or just you learn to navigate things. And in middle school, I went to Holy Spirit Episcopal School, and they were great with dances. Um, and the fact that I didn't have to take Spanish, which was good because I took Spanish later in high school. So.
And then from there, she went to St. John the 23rd and Katy because they have that LD program. But then there was a lot of driving and a lot of schoolwork and group projects. And she was just spending all of her time on that. We were either in the car or she was doing schoolwork. It just was not a good way to live. And so the middle of that freshman year, she transferred to the Briarwood School. And so that was a really good fit. She kind of got her confidence back. She had smaller classes, really excelled there. Got lots of academic awards. She was on the golf team and in drama and student council. That was a good time. I will also say the parent community is so key. Really get to know all the parents because I learned more from the parent community than even the counselors, because they were telling us, oh, you don't need to have a language in college, and they'll waive that for students with LDs, and that is not the case. So thankfully, we actually went to Memorial Private High School, and she took Spanish there because it wasn't offered at Briarwood. And we learned about tech. They have a special program called Techniques. It's about 200 students, and they do academic counseling and tutoring. It's phenomenal. I was the mom that was saying, oh, that's too far away. Let's look at places closer. But a mom that had gone ahead and her daughter was there, and she showed us around. And once we were there, we were sold. So I was going to let Lainey talk about her experience at Tech.
So like before I came to tech, like when I was little, my grandfather, my pops always liked to say like she will always say like, "Oh, it might be a far drive, but you know, it's a 1 hour flight." So it's not bad at all. And you get to the town and you realize like it's so friendly. Everyone there wants to support the students. Like even just an example is after last week, like the night that all that happened, just I had like people reaching out to me from the church I'm affiliated with. All like the girls, the community leaders were reaching out saying, "Hey, you want to stay at our places?" So very like welcoming atmosphere. Even like with non-students too, just people local. And academic counseling and techniques is awesome. They are like your biggest supporter, so they like know you more personally, I would say, than just your average like advisor inside your major building, but you meet with them like 30 minutes once a week, and then you have tutoring 5 hours a week, so you meet with the same tutor every week, the same schedule, you set it up right away, typically within like the first week of classes, which is great. Get that scheduled, set up, and it's amazing. Honestly, I cannot say enough good things about it. You like they are so helpful for math. Like if you have anything you struggle with more so, and just anything at all. You can come to them with any questions you have or anything. Like the free tutoring on campus, honestly, is not very helpful. You just meet with whoever, really, and they might be busy or just kind of unavailable. And like they also have like a bunch of activities. Oh yeah, tutor appreciation day is coming up. I write my tutor a thank you, and like every student does that, and they have like free pizza. They always have like free snacks when you come in. They're so like welcoming every time. I know like even past people, past faculty there, I still say hi and they say hi to me. So that's great. And Disability Services sends an email to professors confirming your accommodations, which helps you go and meet with your professor at the beginning of the semester. So that kind of helps you get the layout for the semester within all of your classes, because you do that for each and every one of them. And it's really nice because you get to meet with your professor. You can set that up with them individually by email. And then you get to like set up your pink sheet, and which is where they will let the testing center know when all their test days are, and then you get extended time in all your accommodations there at the testing center, which is in West Hall. So, and that's right across from Techniques, so which is nice too. And some of my friends have also come to Tech after me. It's great life here, like great friends, great like I would say almost like family, just as long as you have like friends up here. Like my aunt and uncle live pretty close. They're in Albuquerque, or well, New Mexico. So there's that. And I have a great boyfriend. I'm graduating this December. So I mean, you get by, you figure things out. It's great. I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I'm glad I've come to Tech. And honestly, over the years, I feel like I've kind of like really managed my LD well, and I've like learned to compensate it a lot. So I don't necessarily always feel like, oh, I need to set stuff in stone. I still will, but I feel like I've overcome a lot.
That girl will try anything. That's one thing I love. She'll try it all and gives it all her best, and she's just blown our minds. So
So much to be proud of. Thank you for sharing. Lainey, I know you were pretty little when you were at the parish school. Do you have any memories of the parish school?
Um, so not a lot. Really what I remember is that everyone was nice, and that I kind of remember some things like drawing and going dressing up for Halloween, things like
Yeah.
that.
One of my favorite days still, Lainey. The kids still trick or treat around the school. Lorian and Thomas, you might remember that, but it's always a fun day on campus. So
I do. Do you remember Terry or Nancy Mosley
Mhm.
At all?
Terry Garth, do you remember Nancy Mosley?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nancy's still at Parish School.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she works at the front desk. She's like the queen of administration. She knows where everybody is and where everything that's going on.
That's true. I was asking Lanely if she
Oh,
remembers
okay.
Oh,
because she was
sorry.
pretty little.
Um, I don't know if I would. I don't necessarily remember.
Ew.
I remember we
Yes.
used to trick or treat throughout the office and the whole office building and the Caruth Center.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah, we still do that.
Yes, y'all do.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I just want to thank you once more for sharing your story. It takes a lot of courage and vulnerability to share, and we're so grateful that you would share it with us so openly. And I know I speak on behalf of all of your teachers that dearly love you at the parish school. We are just so very proud of each and every one of you. And I know we have several guests here. We have some time for question and answer. If you'd like to ask questions of our alumni or their parents, feel free to unmute and go ahead and ask those.
I have a starter question I could throw out there for the
Yeah.
moms. I think a lot of our parents want to hear from you, how did you know when your child is ready to leave? I know two of y'all aged out, and Lainey, you left after a year. So kind of walk through that mental process, if you will. I know our teachers help you a lot with that decision making, but that's something our parents, might struggle about, whether or not to come back for a second year or a third year or whatnot. So why don't you talk about that process?
Well, I could start. Again, Thomas was complex, and can y'all hear me?
Mhm.
So, okay. And I don't think anyone had a great handle on that. But my sense, that's about all moms can do. You go by your, I had a sense that he was ready for other forms of learning. I didn't know what that was going to be, but I felt like he was growing out of I hate to say it, the love bubble, because I'd really like to return to the bubble. But I just felt that there was a sense. The frustrating thing for us was that we looked at all kinds of schools in Houston, and I couldn't see him there. I couldn't see them in those schools. But I had a friend, and Tish knows her too, Julie Bryant, and her son had gone to a public school system. They're in Memorial, I think, right? Memorial or Stafford. I can't remember. But she was the one that gave me the courage to look into it. And then Ozzy's mom, Jennifer Seiger, was a teacher in Klein. And that's how I heard about making connections. So we almost have to feel our way through. Some of us, it's clearer than it is for others. But without a doubt, the Making Connections program was a home run. And for sure, Boy Scouts, it turns out, was one of the best ways for Thomas to learn because most of it happened outside, which is where he loved to be at the parish school.
I'll try to answer a little bit. I think it's really, really hard. I don't know that we did everything right, but you just do the best you can. Did a lot of research on schools, like New First Baptist, did a little bit more with language and things like that. So just tried to transition her a little more easily. That tension of pushing and then preserving spirit, it's just hard. I do think you can't go wrong with giving them more time in those kind of environments, because actually I went back to school because Lainey motivated me so much watching her. I went back and got my doctorate in special ed leadership. And so I did research at Texas Tech and kind of accommodations and things like that. But one of the glaring things is that it's more important for students to believe in themselves than actual ability. So, a lot of times as a parent, I would be looking at schools and wondering, oh, are they teaching to the teaks? And, all these like curriculum things, when really, I mean, it's important, but they're going to hear it over and over. And believing in yourself is going to help you be able to accomplish whatever that is. So that's what I would say.
They had to drag us out pretty much. We did wait until Lorian had aged out, and then got kind of panicky because we didn't really have a plan in place. But we met with Nancy Booley one day and just asked what she recommended for Lorian. And she asked if we'd ever heard of Memorial Private School, and we had not. And it's a very small school. It's what are there, about 45 students?
45, 50.
Yeah, 6th through 12th grade, 45 to 50 students. And Nancy shared that a couple of other parish school students had gone there after they aged out. So that's been a really good fit with her. But something to what Marcia said about having that support of other parents at the parish school, when they're toddlers and you're first hit with all of these diagnoses and everything else, and it's very isolating. And then you get to a place like the parish school and you find other people who are in very similar situations. It's not always the same because all these kids are so very different, but to have people to bounce ideas off of and who know what you're going through is also so helpful to, and events like this. We always went to Life After Parish. And also for all the parents who are listening, all the other programs around the parish school, Camp Social Superheroes, Lorian went every year as soon as she turned 8. And I thought, oh, she's little bitty. She can't go off to camp for a week. And Renee Attaway told me she absolutely can. She's got this. So we developed that kind of trust in the staff at the parish school that I was fine with my just turned 8-year-old going off for a week-long camp. And adventure play. Both of my girls were in adventure play. So it's just that whole familial feeling with the other parents and the other families there, as well as with the staff, were just amazing.
Thank you for that. Were there any other questions? You can put it in the chat or unmute.
And would it be okay if I like made a statement instead of asked a question?
Absolutely.
I just want to say something that Carrie said that rings so true for me after all these years at parish school. I think it is so important to remember you can change mid-year. If it's not working out like you did, Carrie, if it's not working out, it's okay. You don't have to stay forever if it's not working out.
And we did know other students with Lorian who maybe parish wasn't a good fit for them, and they would still come back for Camp Social Superheroes or Camp Acorn. So those are always options as well.
Mm-hmm. Every journey is unique and unto itself. And it takes such courage to walk our own journeys. So we are incredibly proud of you. And I know when I go to school tomorrow, everyone's going to be saying, oh, did you hear what Lorian said? Oh, what about Lainey? And oh, Thomas said this. And it was so good. And they'll be watching your faces. So it means so much to us, to our staff, and I know our families as well, that you would come and share your amazing stories. So thank you so much.
I actually had another question for our alums. Something
Okay.
else I just thought of. Is there, and this might be more for Thomas and Lauren then, but is there any tools that the parish school taught you that you still use today? I think I stumped him.
To be
Okay.
flexible, I've definitely gotten a lot better with that. I remember when I was little, I used to not take it too well if something when it didn't go according to plan, but now I've gotten a lot better at it.
Self-advocating. Try to learn how to try harder to tell what you want
Mhm.
or need.
Sometimes it was hard for Thomas to find exactly the right words, but he always got his point across. He would say to people, I don't like the way I feel in this situation. I don't like the way you're treating me. I need to take a break now. And he learned all of those things at the parish school. It'll stay with him for the rest of his life, which is priceless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Lainey, do you have a tip?
I would really just say advocating for yourself, believing in yourself. I think that definitely stuck with me because I feel like I remember like just whenever drama would happen, even after I had left, like just I feel like I always had like a piece of like this kind of resilience within me, and I still remember like standing up for myself or just making friends. I remember and just things like that. Like when I couldn't see the whiteboard or the board, I don't know if it was a whiteboard or the electronic board, and like I don't know, second or whatever grade that was. I don't think it was second, but it was at Second Baptist, and I was younger and I couldn't see the board. And this was before I had glasses or contacts, and I was like panicking, and I was like, oh my God, can I sit next to anybody? Like, look at your notes. And only one guy did. I think we're still family friends with their family still to this day. And so that was good. Back then, still remember that. Just
One thing she
advocating
does
for
that's
myself.
so good is your schedule making. And I know that's a thing at Parish too, but she still like makes schedules for her day. And I need to copy that more. But that's been really good. And I thought of one thing that I had heard, and I think this is just a good thing for parents to hear, but that we're all, on this journey to Dallas. And some kids are going to take the 45 and they're going to get there quick. And then some are going to take the back roads and, it's going to be a different journey. And then some of us are going to stop off at a bunch of, Buc-ee's along the way. And just like, don't forget to enjoy that journey instead of worrying a lot. Just, you might have missed Buc-ee's if you hadn't been on that journey. So just to embrace that, what you're on.
Those are good life lessons for us all. And that's what I was thinking too. And everyone was sharing their tools. Those are things that we all continue to practice our whole life long. So they are powerful tools. Any other questions before we close? Well, thank you so much once more. Thank you for your time. It is such a special evening, and I appreciate everyone who made time to come, and of course, our alums and their families. Thank you so much for sharing your stories with us tonight. Have a great evening.
You too. Thank you for
Thank you
inviting
all.
us.
Bye,
Absolutely.
everyone.
Thank
It's
you.
our honor.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Good night.
Good night.